Go to the club.
Let the bouncer let him in. Oh, by the way, I think my volume or my level was a little low in the last show.
I think it was too.
Okay. I mean,
Sounds better now.
it, I got it pushed up just a hair, but on my side, but I don't know.
Yep. Now we're bouncing the meters at about the same place.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah, I
I'm
was
still
listening to it. I
getting
was like,
used to the Shure microphone. I don't have to eat it like I did the Rode. All
okay.
right.
Let me turn my headphone volume up a little bit.
I'm going to do a quick share on Facebook, see what happens if we do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Look
Share.
at there. My face is bald.
Your face is bald.
Yeah.
You've gone back to your younger look.
And it wasn't intentional, honestly, but yeah.
I had a friend who did that with his mustache. He was just trimming, and all of a sudden, half of his mustache is
Well,
gone. It's like, well, you can't walk around with have a mustache.
well, I'd used the electric razor with the guard on everything. Actually, I was done. I shaved under here and I was good to go. And I went, you know what? Right there, it looks like maybe I missed a little spot. So I'd taken the guard off to clean it off. But when I put it back on, I didn't put it in the same position. It went, near. I went, oh
The dangerous ones is when you trim your eyebrows.
no.
Don't get those too short.
I let the Lori who cuts my hair, she does that. I let her do that.
I've got like crazy old Russian man eyebrows if I let them go.
I did notice something today. Now
What's that?
I got blonde hair, so it's hard to. It didn't really show up very easily, but you can see the gray on the sides now a little more
Oh yeah,
prominently. But
mine's going fast now.
I got blonde hair, so it's not terrible. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. I mean, I'm not trying to impress anybody. As long as I look respectable, that's all that matters, right?
Gray hair shows your seniority.
So
Who
did my
wants
beard.
to take advice from a 12-year-old?
Yeah. Now I look like I'm 12. I got the
I wouldn't go that far.
I feel like I'm 12. How about that?
You act like you're 12.
Yeah. I feel like it. I act like it.
It
Just don't
walks
look
like
it.
a duck and smells like a duck, quacks like a duck.
Exactly.
Must be Craig.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, you ready to begin?
Yes, I think so.
All right, let's start. 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 735, Going on a Voyage. Well, hello and welcome to Technorama, or welcome back to Technorama, as the case may be. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show, or welcome back, as I mentioned earlier. My name is Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and with me, as always, right over there is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing good. By the way, I owe our listeners an apology
Why is that?
because the other day when I went to post this show, I made a slight mistake. Actually, I got a little bit off track. So I have a checklist I go through, when I post the show. Well, what happened was when I went to one of those items is double check that this show is the right one. Like sometime it had happened in a long time. It has not happened in a long time, but Chuck, you had mixed up the parody or
Oh, I
Patreon shows.
renamed them wrong?
Yeah, you no, wait a minute. So in the past you had. So one of my checklist item is to at least listen to it for a second and see if it's the right one.
Well, the big file, usually the bigger file is the
Right, but I
show.
just in Google Drive I can hit play and listen to it for a minute.
Gotcha.
So that was fine, but what happened is I noticed that I was finishing a word right before you started the show. I was like, "You know what? I should edit that out." So I downloaded the shows. And
Ah.
then when I went to go process them in Alphonic, which is the service that we use, it's fantastic. I forgot to do the upload. I just picked the files, the wrong files
Well,
from our
thank you to our
integration. So,
wonderful listeners for letting us know that.
yes, thanks for jumping on that. And I do subscribe to our own shows, so I can, I listen to them in the car from time to time, but I do subscribe to our shows, make sure everything looks right. and I just hadn't got around to playing them because I just posted them. So thanks for everybody letting me know, and it took me a minute to figure out, kind of triage what I did wrong.
Mhm.
But yeah, there you go.
All right. On with the show. Let's do our feedback. I think that's first. Yeah, that's first.
All right.
Letters, oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
Our question in the last show was, if time travel was possible and you could send a modern smartphone back to a scientist from the past, who would you choose and how do you think it would change history? So Lone Guy's Night responds, he says, how loosely are we defining scientist?
Oh, wow. Good question. All right.
And then he said, probably somebody big in the 1970s, but I was pretty young and don't have any names.
Right.
You mean like, would a scientist be like your 8th grade science teacher?
Einstein? You don't have that name?
Here, Mr. Bowman, try this.
All right. Steve London said a smartphone is, I would say, far too dangerous of an item to send back into time. Imagine if they would reverse engineer it and then the brain rot would begin even sooner.
Brain rot.
Took me a minute to read that one. Cell zombies will inherit the earth. But for the LOLs of it all, I would send it back filled with lots of cats to one of the great timeless legendary artists to see how it would have changed the history of art. How about the great art pieces of the Mona Lisa?
No, he said
or
Meow
Meow
Lisa.
Excuse me, Meow Lisa,
The last
and the
catnip.
last catnip. Yeah,
Very clever, Steve. Very.
I like that. I like that.
Weber Baker says, well, you couldn't send it too far back or they wouldn't have anybody to talk to because there was no cell service. Nor could they take advantage of any of the smart features that
Mhm.
require cell service or Wi-Fi. So you'd probably just be as well sending them a calculator if you wanted to go back to, say, Alan Turing. I don't know. You could download some Netflix videos. You could put stuff local on there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to get too in the weeds with this one, but yeah.
You go back just before 1951 and you download from Netflix The Day the Earth Stood Still and you show it to them. And then when they get the movie in the theater, they're going to freak out.
Yeah,
And they'll
historical
take it
documents.
seriously this time.
It's like Galaxy Quest and the historical documents.
Right.
Yeah. John Kratzer says Martin Cooper, an American engineer. He is a pioneer in the wireless communications.
Ah.
That'd be interesting.
Ralph
Okay.
Wangler says it doesn't matter who you send it to. To the bloatware and the crap UX would make it effectively useless. Or send it to Nikola Tesla so he can beat Edison.
Yeah. Weber Baker says, well, you couldn't send it too far back or they wouldn't have anybody to talk to because
We
there's
just
no
read
cell
that.
service. Oh, you read that one?
Were you not listening?
I'm sorry. I was looking at, I thought you said Ralph.
No, I read Ralph, but we were going back and forth.
Oh.
I read John. I read Weber
Excuse
first.
me. There you go.
That shows who's paying attention.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, we're recording?
Okay, I got one on my share. Sean Brockman says Marconi, Gauss, Morse, Ohm, Moore, Tesla. Communications is the key to the future. Focus on that first. Imagine the possibilities of global communication happened 50 to 100 years sooner. I'm imagining a lot of things if the Library of Alexandria didn't burn down. What happened to backup copies, boys?
Hey, well, imagine that 200-foot radio antenna that we talked about missing last time was also sent back. So maybe they could use,
Maybe they did send it back.
maybe they could use the cell service. I don't know if they're going to.
Just a tower doesn't get you cell service.
No.
And it was an AM radio transmitter tower.
Hey, I said we don't get into weeds here, okay?
That's pretty much the theme of this show. We don't get into the weeds.
Yeah,
Well, it has something to do with weed, but I'm not sure what.
that's right.
All right, that wraps that up. We're going to have another question for you at the end of the show. Stick around.
Another letter from our listener Dave.
Because now it's time for history. You knew that song was going off in your head, right?
Yeah, it was.
Just like the next track on a record when you from your youth. You hear the song on the radio and you go, I know what song comes after that.
Pretty much, yes.
On this day in history for February 21st, 2024, this is the 52nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. Coincidentally, there's 52 weeks in a year. There are 314 days remaining in 2024. Coincidentally, it's close to pi, 314.
Yeah.
It was on this date in 1804 that the first self-propelling steam locomotive made its outing at the Pen y Darren Ironworks in Wales. I'm sure I massacred that because my Welsh is terrible.
Right. And that same date in 1842, John Greenough was granted the first U.S. patent for the sewing machine.
It was on that same date. Why did I expect something to happen there? It was on this same date in 1878 that the first telephone directory was issued in New Haven, Connecticut. It was 2 phone numbers. You call me, I call you.
That's right. The same date in 1925, the New Yorker was published for the first issue.
Also New York City, Edwin Land, Land, demonstrated his first instant camera, that's in quotes, the Polaroid Land camera, to a meeting of the Optical Society of America. Now, you remember the one step, right? Where you
Yes.
take a picture.
Of course.
That's based on the same technology, only that was in the 70s, and this was back in 1947.
Wow. I've actually got a box of those one steps over here. And on February 21st, 1948, NASCAR was incorporated.
Of course you've got a box of one-step cameras. Your last name is Step.
Don't you know it? That's right.
It was also on this date in 1972 that the Soviet uncrewed spaceship Luna 20 landed on the moon. And they found the American flag and went, ah! Oh, wait, it was uncrewed. I almost read that as unscrewed.
Somebody's been here already.
I'll get to a famous quote in a minute. A happy birthday goes out on this day to German astronomer, composer, and theorist Cetus Calvisius, born on this date in 1556.
And Francis Ronalds, the British scientist, inventor, and engineer who was knighted for developing the first electric telegraph, was born 236 years ago today.
Or was he electrocuted for developing the first working telegraph?
That's right.
Danish biochemist and physiologist, Nobel Prize laureate Henrik Dam was born 129 years ago today.
And born February 21st, 1921, American aeronautical engineer Richard T. Whitcomb.
American computer scientist and engineer Thelma Eastron was born 100 years ago today. Thank you, Thelma.
Yeah. And also born on that same date in 1943, American businessman who co-founded DreamWorks and Geffen Records, David Geffen.
I think it's Geffen.
Geffen, I mean. I knew
It's spelled Geffen, but it's pronounced DreamWorks.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
United
David
States
Geffen.
Senator, American captain, pilot, and astronaut Mark Kelly is 60 years old today. Listener birthdays this week include February 23rd, Zahadoom. We haven't heard from him in ages.
I still hear that little audio clip.
Oh, yeah. Keith Hughes, a.k.a. Ed Gizmo, is on the 23rd. Norbert on the 25th. Also on the 21st, Sandy Shepard. He was married to the dearly departed listener and friend of the show, Mark Shepard. Wayne, your ad here, Pettinger from Bethlehem, PA, was on the 28th. And we have a leap year baby, Paul Dove, a.k.a. Elmer from Malmesbury, UK. He's, well, probably about 12 now.
Yeah, 12. He's old enough to listen.
He only gets a birthday once every 4 years. Give him a
Right.
break.
That's
Now,
right.
He can act like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
It was also on this. Oh, no, wait. That's the last line. That's the way it was on this day. Wow, I have one-track mind tonight.
We are done.
Yes. February 21st, 2024. If you want to get on the birthday calendar,
Oh,
You
hold
know
on.
what to do.
Hang
You
on.
go over to
Wait.
chuckchat.com/birthday. Craig's telling me to wait so you can get it
There
on
you
the screen, but that doesn't help the audio listeners. So I have to tell them chuckchat.com/birthday.
Well, wait.
Your
Just
birthday on
wait.
there, and we'll give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to all of you. Even if you're not on the calendar, we wish you all the best. Wait for it. I don't think this is the end. We haven't been going long. Nope. Okay. Bye.
Fade them out.
Famous quote about Mac OS and Windows.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That was who's he going to still send the cell phone to?
Professor Gilligan. He said, "Give me the coconuts." That's good. My phone says, "You send my cell phone back to the professor on Gilligan's Island." Nicely done.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What? Finish your thought there. I
Famous
apologize.
quote about Microsoft, Mac OS and Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it wasn't Mac OS back then. It was Mac System 1.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates was quoted as saying, because they both were influenced by the work at Xerox PARC.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Bill Gates said, it was kind of like you had a rich neighbor and you went over to his house to steal his TV and you found that Steve Jobs already stole the TV.
Oops. That's right.
All right. Should we do some news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, the good news is that they've detected water molecules on the surface of asteroids for the first time. They were using the satellite, the Faint Object Infrared Camera for SOFIA telescope or forecast instrument, which they put on a specially outfitted Boeing 747 SP. It was modified to go up through the stratosphere, which is above 99.9% of the Earth's atmosphere, about as good as you can get to observing from space without going to space. And they pointed this baby at the asteroid. I forget what the name of the asteroid was, but it was
Oh, I had it right here too.
way out there in the asteroid belt, 223 million miles from the sun. And they said, look, we can detect water. They said they scanned what is about a meter square and said there's roughly 12 ounces of water there. I think it'd probably be frozen, but
it was actually a Dasani bottle.
no, it's Evian because Evian backwards spells naive. They're going to take the James Webb Space Telescope now and aim it that way because it can do more refined research. And they're also going to start looking at other asteroids. Now, the reason this is important is because one theory suggests that we got all our water on Earth from asteroids, which I think is pretty cool.
That's true. I imagine there have to be a lot of asteroids, especially if you have, well, I guess they just scanned for 12 ounces and saw about 12 ounces. So imagine how many asteroids would have to hit the Earth to bring the water here.
A lot. There was a lot of bombardment happening at various periods of time in Earth's history. But yeah, I thought it would be a lot too. And maybe the ones back, maybe what we're seeing is remnants of what's left.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
The thing I can't figure out is, did we have an atmosphere or was the Earth really hot? Why didn't the water just evaporate? Because when you smash an asteroid into the Earth, especially lots of them, the crust becomes molten and it boils off. So I think we had like a steam-like atmosphere, but did we have enough gravity to hold the atmosphere with us?
Yeah.
A lot of things that we don't know that are just
really
cool
I had
to
this.
figure out.
Yeah, and I had the same thought. Like if the Earth was hot,
Yep,
and asteroids were hitting it, then you have evaporation and gas,
right.
and then it kind of over a long period of time, of course, would end up settling out to what we have today. But I think you have to have that heat to kind of make things happen like that.
Well, for a long time, there wasn't any oceans or lakes. It was all held in the atmosphere. We had a very dense, thick, hot atmosphere. And then it started to rain one day.
Yeah. They didn't see that. They didn't predict that.
Well, one guy built a boat and he put two of every kind of animal.
That was a little later. But yeah.
Not the same rainstorm?
No, probably not.
Okay. We also have other space news. The private Odysseus moonlander has been sending home selfies. because
Yeah,
that's what you do when you're in space.
that's right.
There's one picture, it looks like it's landed on the Earth, and it's 3 times the size of the Earth. Going, "Ah, there's this
Yeah,
giant
it does.
bat hanging on the Earth. Let
I
go,
didn't look
let
at it.
go."
I didn't look at it that way until you just mentioned it, but it looks like it just went. Whook.
Or it's a heat shield from the
Yeah,
sun. I don't know. But,
it's
this
holding out the
is
camera.
the Odysseus spacecraft on its way to the moon. We launched it on February 16th. No, it sent images on February 16th. We
Hmm.
launched it a few days before, shortly after its launch, February 15th. That's when it launched. And then it's on its way, sending back pictures. It's supposed to be there February 22nd. So this, if you remember, last month in January, we sent up what was the other one? I can't remember. The one that went kind of wonky and they had to destroy it as a
Oh, um,
the what's it called? I can't remember.
I
We'll
can't
find it.
recall.
I'm scanning the article really fast to try and pick up the name. I should have highlighted it. But it that one brought up some interesting ideas because remember it had the ashes of some people on it and it had
Yep.
the Japanese energy drink and they said, "Wait a minute, hold on everybody. Nobody owns the moon, but are we just because we can send crap to the moon, should we be sending crap to the moon?"
Right.
It's one thing to send a scientific mission and look for frozen water and whatnot. That's that's a noble effort, but some of these commercial ventures are raising some really interesting questions. And are we just going to leave things there like we did in the 60s, or are we going to have some moon pollution? And hell, boy, the moon's really going to pot.
Wasn't this um the basis of the show Salvage One, where they were going to go to the moon and start
It's already a
salvaging
joke.
the garbage?
Yeah.
So there you go. Just get
Maybe.
Andy Griffith on it. I do think it's funny that one picture. I know this is a private uh, lander, but look, it has Columbia on there. It has some sponsors.
Yeah, we're sponsoring clothing. It's like, why is a clothing manufacturer? I mean, I understand raising money, but is this really in line with their brand? I don't.
Columbia. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, clothing to get outdoors, I guess.
You're way outdoors if you're out there.
Yeah, I was trying to look at this other. If there was another one there, I can't read the other ones. But there's another
We're
name on there.
turning into NASCAR. All these satellites are just stickers.
Yeah, and yeah, can you imagine the NASCAR or the NASA press conference after that? Yeah, we had the Mobile Oil Columbia, number one, hit the moon right on target. They start just spouting out their
We
sponsor.
have satellites going. We have these orbiters going around the moon having a race.
That's right.
It's just a bunch of left turns, people. Okay, we have to get into the Hacks of Strange Stories. I am not showing images on screen for this one. You're going to have to go to the show notes. For episode
Careful.
735. This is what happens when AI goes horribly wrong.
Mhm.
I challenge you to just Google RATDCK. Okay?
Yes.
This is in a science journal that was talking about stem cells in rats and so on and so forth. But the scientists were not the greatest artists, so they did what most of us do, and you turned it generative AI. They went to
Mhm.
Midjourney and they said, "Draw me a picture of a rat with the a cutaway of the reproductive organs and whatnot." And it got it horribly wrong. Not only did it get the imagery wrong, but it got the labeling wrong too. Like,
Right.
don't forget, kids, you want to highlight the ileote segtogomer cell. Like, that's not even a thing. It was, and the best part about this is I'm going to read this. The rat image is glaringly wrong, even if you've never cut open a rat's genitals. But the other figures in the paper could pass as credible to the untrained eye, at least at first glance. Yet, even someone who has never opened a biology textbook would see, upon further scrutiny, that the labels in each diagram are not quite right in English. The article was edited by an expert in animal reproduction at the National Dairy Research Institute in India and was reviewed by researchers at
Mhm.
Northwest. So the bottom line of this is it didn't just get published from somebody going copy paste clip art.
Right.
Someone had to review this. A number of someone's had
Right.
to review this
Yeah.
and looked at it and let it go. So not only is there AI having a problem, we have a human problem with the quality assurance of these published papers, which
Right.
leads to question the efficacy and authenticity and validity of some of these papers.
See, here's the problem I have, or at least the way I see it is that people were worried about AI, just making up stuff. But as you pointed out, not only did it make up stuff, but then it got past anybody that had two eyes on it. So
Right.
who's to say who's at fault? I mean, the whole system's out. So you got to be super careful with this kind of stuff because this misinformation is gonna become information. You
Yeah.
know?
Misinformation will become trusted information. And it's
Yeah.
especially in a science journal like this. Like, really, people, you
Right.
just took this back about 15 years.
Now, to the
Disappointing.
AI's credit, even though it is wrong, it does look like some kind of illustration you'd see in a medical book or something or
It
journal or
looks like an
something.
illustration you'd see in a 12-year-old's notebook.
No, I'm just saying it looks, like it was meant to be in there is what I meant to say, but it just
That's
yeah, it's
one
not right.
happy rat. One
They're
happy rat.
they were feeding him Viagra.
Your rat lasts more than 4 hours. See your dog. That
So,
gives you an idea. If you're just listening to this, you've now got an idea what the picture looked like.
yeah, it's like I said, at first glance you go, it looks kind of credible, but then you go, wait a minute.
No,
This-
it doesn't. It
no, I
doesn't.
mean the way it's illustrated, that's what I'm getting at. The
The
way it's
the
illustrated.
rat's willy is bigger
Yeah.
than the rat. Okay.
Actually, I think he's looking up at it.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna have weird dreams tonight.
Hey, we don't need to get in your personal life.
Sometimes you just have these, passing
Ugh.
images or thoughts or see something on TV and your subconscious takes over and goes, "Oh, we're gonna have fun with that tonight."
Yeah,
You wake up going, "Where did that come from? Oh, I know where that came from."
yeah.
All right.
I'll tell you something else. It's interesting how simple it is. I went to Chat GPT or to Dolly, and I was wanted to come up with an image for my brother's birthday. I wanted an old man blowing out a cake, or candles on a cake. And then I got close to what I wanted, and I said, no, I want to make the cake unusually large and lots of candles. And it gave me some weird images back and forth. And I ended up saying, make it cartoonish. And it came back and gave me a cartoon version of what I was looking at. I mean, similar, the same description.
Mhm.
And I was like, it's amazing how easy this is to pull this stuff together. And then you get something like this.
Well, now we're starting to get into video too, and it's not quite right. At least
Yeah.
I was talking to co-author T. Morris today, and he was saying there was a video of an old woman blowing out birthday candles, and she was blowing
Mhm.
not at the candles, she was blowing on the candles, which was pretty good. The people behind her were applauding, but they weren't applauding right.
Yeah.
They had the right number of fingers, which is unusual for AI, but they would applaud and it looked more like they were dancing. Nobody was actually clapping hands. It didn't know how to applaud, especially lots of people in synchronicity. So they're just sort of
Well,
hands going in weird directions.
a little
It's
bit.
like,
Yeah.
that's what you think applauding is.
Well, there
It's
was
it's
on one
like
of the
when aliens try to laugh,
right.
you
Right.
blow air and you make a noise.
Well, there was also one of those videos. There was about 4 sample videos. I think it's 4. One of them was the one you're talking about. And if you the first time you watch it, you're kind of focused on the lady doing her thing, blowing out the candles. And I'll be honest, I didn't notice the hands of the people behind her until you watch it again. Then I went,
Mhm.
oh, wait a minute. So it could almost pass for being in a commercial, you know. Or the other thing was there was this there was a man sitting there reading a book, sitting on a cloud, and the cloud kind of looked uh almost like it was sitting in a studio or something. It's like foam, like cotton kind of look. And
Mhm.
behind him had a realistic looking sky. And my they were talking about how unrealistic it looked. I went, to be honest with you, that looks like an image or a video or a clip from a Gap commercial. He could be sitting on one of those cottony looking clouds while the real cloud's behind him, kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
kind of stylistic
It's
choice.
getting better.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's interesting, but again,
Just because we can do a thing.
you're going to end up with this kind of rat situation. you know, well,
You know who's gonna be first on that? Porn.
hopefully not. Yeah, I'll say Pornhub. It's going to have. Never mind. So,
Jared Cooper just made a comment. There was a court case out of Canada where a judge ruled that an airplane company was
Mhm.
financially, trying to pull that up,
Yep.
was financially liable for its AI virtual agent's hallucination, creating non-existent refund policies. We're going to get to another AI
why would you
story in
publish
just a minute.
that? Wait a minute.
Huh?
How is it? I'm wondering. I got to go look at that up because it's a court case, but why? Why would you? Just because AI was spewing it out.
You know, on that note, I'm going to reverse these two stories. We're going to do the other one next
Okay.
because it's a whole lot more fun since we're on the topic of AI.
Okay.
AI falsely accused a man of driving while using his cell phone, and the guy got a $280 bill for it. He went, "Wait, what? No, stop."
Well, the man, did you say he was an AI expert?
Yes, he's an AI expert. He's driving down the road,
hmm
and this bill shows up, and it says, "You're not allowed to use your cell phone." He goes, "I wasn't using my cell phone." He got to see the image. He was scratching his head. So AI thought, anytime your hand is up near your
Oh.
face, you must be on the phone.
Hmm.
And the sad part is it's going to take up to 26 weeks for him to file an appeal. Like, hey, let's get a little more compute power on the process of resolving these rather than the accusations.
Well, in the U.S., you could just show up for court. Why? And they dismiss.
Well, this is
What
another
about
case where uh, a human police officer would have had to approve this fine by looking at the picture. That means the human was at fault too.
another rat situation.
Yeah, people, if you're going to be valid, he's
Yeah.
probably just going, "Oh, good. Yeah, good." He
Mhm.
wasn't looking at him. He
It's
wasn't.
another rat situation. Yeah. Somebody published it in a medical journal because
He was distracted by the rat article and wasn't looking at the picture of the people actually using cell phones.
yeah. Oh man, I didn't think. Yeah. Well, I could see where AI would could mistake that, but hmm.
I know in Canada, you cannot put your phone in the cup holder. It must be in a dash mounted clip.
Yes, I don't know about California, but they're pretty strict on it too, as far as looking at it or reading the maps and stuff like that, or trying to get directions. That's why I like Android Auto. I don't have to really do anything and just talk to the car and shows up on the screen.
I don't know if that's the way it's gonna work. I unfortunately, we don't have such strange
What's going to
not
work?
strange, but strict laws. If because I'm sure they have built-in navigation systems or Android Auto, CarPlay,
Mhm.
whatever you wanna call it, to their car in Canada,
Sure, I'm sure
but
they do.
they have to have the phone mounted in the clip.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In a clip. Wow.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it has to be visible.
I've got what I did was I just bought one of those little pads. It's like anti-slip pad. You're supposed to put it on the top of your dash and you can put your phone on it so it doesn't
Mhm.
slide off.
Yeah, I had one of
I
those
act-
for a while.
yeah, I've actually got the same thing, but I put it down below in front of the shifter. So I guess a place where I can put my phone and I don't have to see it or
I wonder
worry
how
about
that
it.
would work with our Amazon Echo frames then. Your phone
But
could be in your pocket, yet you could carry on a conversation.
sure.
They'll never catch us now.
Yeah. AI is going to bust you for wearing glasses now.
The AI camera is going to see you talking and no, I'm just crazy.
Yeah.
I talk to myself all the time. Should I turn left? Should I turn left? How's your brother?
People get on me. Why are you texting me while you're driving? I'm like, well, I'm not working the phone. I'm just hitting the button on the steering wheel, and it asks me, do I want to reply? I say yes, and I just say what I'm going to say.
You're
So
distracted. You're not
there,
focused on driving.
I don't think I'm any more distracted than if somebody was sitting in the passenger seat.
That's true. A lot of people in our passenger seats are
Because I'm not focusing on the phone and trying to type. I just hit the button, and it reads the message, and I say reply, or whatever.
That's who you should send the phone back to. Henry Ford.
Let's end this car problem.
Look at the dangers of driving with this device.
Yeah. Well, send some videos on it. See what you did.
All right, let's move on to the next one because we've got a story about, well, you've heard about meat made from plant-based materials, right?
Mhm.
Well, now we have, no, I got that backwards. Plants. Yes, meat made from, now we have plants that can make meat.
Plants made out of meat.
Plants made out of meat.
Yeah.
How was it? South Korea. Let's see. You've tried plant-based meat. Now here comes meat-based plants. That's what
right.
it is. That's the title of the article.
Yeah.
A team of South Korean researchers at Yonsei University have developed a hybrid rice variant. They discovered that rice is very similar to the scaffolding that you would use to make artificial tissue, for example,
All right.
or lab-grown tissue. If you
Right.
needed a new ear or you needed a new whatever, they grow it around this scaffold. Rice works really well for that. So they took some bovine tissue and then they coated the rice in, what was it, a fish substance, like a
Yeah. I
ice
saw
cream
fish.
treat. Let's say it's they say here's how they achieved this culinary delight. Researchers first coated each grain of rice in fish gelatin to help the meat cells latch on. Next, they inserted cow muscle and fat stem cells into each grain, which they then left in a culture in a petri dish. Rice grains feature a porous yet organized internal structure that actually mimics the biological scaffolds found in meat cells. So, the rice grains offer a housing that allows the cells to grow and thrive, along with molecules to provide nourishment. Like, that's pretty cool. I don't expect we'll be seeing this pink meaty rice anytime soon on our menus.
I was going to
But
say,
think of the impact, because
mhm.
growing this stuff is a lot less carbon footprint than having a whole bunch of cows.
I agree with
Yeah.
that.
They're hoping that eventually they don't even need the cows to inject the initial tissue. They can just have, I don't know, almost like sourdough starter.
Yeah. Once
just
you get
throw
going,
the old stuff around and it helps generate the new stuff. That's groundbreaking stuff right there.
I think it is too. I'd be interested to see what they can do with this pink rice, but I wouldn't say it looks
Straight
appetizing.
up, you have your beef and rice bowl all in one.
I mean, it doesn't look appetizing off the cuff, but I'd be interested to see.
Hey, throw some
once you cook
broccoli
it,
in there,
or
brown it up, soy sauce, I'm done.
yeah. Hey, sushi. Would you eat pink sushi?
I
Pink
eat
rice?
pink sushi all the time. Tuna
I
is
mean,
pink.
I mean the rice part.
Sure. Why not?
So you can have double meat sushi.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. There's fish in there already, so you just eat the rice and
I wonder if
call
you
it
could throw
sushi.
fish in this, or if it's just
Hey,
beef.
they use fish cells, so just eat the rice and you kind of get your sushi going on
I
at the
think
same
you're
time.
losing track on this one.
Okay, fine.
We're going to move on and give a shout out to the chat room. We got Mike Robinson and Jared Cooper are hanging out with us. There's a couple other people that haven't chimed into the chat, but we wish you all the best. We do this show Sunday nights at 8:30 Eastern time. Look forward to seeing you there. Although we're going to be missing a couple of weeks because we've got the Star Trek cruise coming up. But most weeks we're here Sundays at 8:30 Eastern on Facebook and Twitter X or YouTube. So you got your choice. We're going to monitor all and everything we can. Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the chat room because Jared Cooper's burning it up tonight. He said he was pulled over by officers and written tickets, and they had gaming PCs in their passenger seat. Really?
I know they have laptops in the police cars.
Yeah, I think they'd get super busted for something like that. All right. Who else in the chat room? We got
Mike Mike and Jared are the only ones we see.
Yeah.
So there's a couple other people out there watching. So,
Oh, look,
hey, how you doing?
Jared's going to be there Thursday. He's gonna be on
Yes.
the cruise.
Yep. He's going to be joining us again.
Let's see.
Get our annual selfie.
Yep, I was just
Okay.
looking through the chat room, see if
Okay.
there was anything.
Then let's go on and thank our patrons next, because we don't have anything in the Remember When segment this time. So thank you very much to our patrons. You are the ones who make this show happen. You keep it funded, bandwidth and everything. Some of you think it's educational. Some of you think it's funny.
We got
Some
you
of
fooled.
Some of you are just giving us sympathy money, I'm sure. But regardless of what your motivation is, we appreciate it. People like Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Avner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan D. Mancoyer. Thank you, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Schrauen, blank. There's an empty blank on this. We need your
What?
name, dear listener, blank. That's where
right.
Crazy Joe used to be. He used to live there.
Oh, is that his place?
Right
He needs
right
to clean it up. Hey, he's not getting a security deposit back.
He used to live at cell D4.
All right.
Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Guilfoyle, thank you, Brad Miller, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, and the five Steves, Stephen Weshy, Steve Cody, Steve Therian, Steve Webb, Steve London, and Tim Cook. If you want to be a patron, you go over to patreon.com/Technorama Podcast. And for as little as $1 a show, you can help support this show. If you're already a Patreon member, thank you. Consider upgrading. We are going on another cruise, so we're going to figure out something cool to get these people. So Craig and I get together a couple times a year and try to make the most of it. And you reap the rewards. If you call them rewards, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it for that song. Out. And now we're going to go into one of my favorite parts of the show. Pass me the remote, Craig.
Wait, here you go.
What kind of remote is that? That's my Men in Black badge.
Wow. Where'd you find that?
In my lanyard badge collection. And this one. We got two. They got the one with the big picture and the little picture.
I think in our Dragon Con box, I may still have my old one in there.
I was sorting out my lanyards. They were getting a little munged up. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I got.
I've been watching I've been following up with a lot of documentaries on YouTube. PBS has some great stuff out there, by the way. Episode called "Building the Eiffel Tower," all about how Eiffel. It wasn't actually his original idea, but people who worked for him tried to pitch it on him and go, "The World's Fair is coming. We should have a grand tower." And they said it'll be 1,000 feet high, and he said, "No."
No.
And then he said, the only way we can justify something like that is if it's open to the public. And then they started working on some ideas, and he really got behind it when they came up with one that said, we'll have a platform here and an elevator there. And he goes, now we're getting to it. It was only supposed to be available for 20 years. They were going to tear it down.
Yeah, I remember it was supposed to be short-lived, yeah.
But he sold the government on the fact that it could be a wonderful, wonderful radio tower for communication. And it actually did play a big part in World War I and II. So thank goodness it's still around. It's been painted 19 times. And they showed these scientists who cut a little slice of paint off at a beveled angle.
Oh, and you could see
they got this little portable microscope and counted all the layers and what colors it's been. It's been yellow. It's been red. It's been several shades of tan and brown. It's like, wow, this is nuts. And it has to be repainted about every 7 years.
Now, because of the original short-lived, I say short-lived, he said 20 years. For something like the World's Fair, you would think that something that's been there this long has had to have some maintenance issues. Because
it's had some maintenance, but not as much as you would think.
Okay.
He built that baby to last because he had a lot of experience building bridges and aqueducts, and he
that's what I was getting at. Lots of times when they build stuff for a one-off event, it may not be built to last. That's why I was curious if it had a lot of maintenance issues.
It's an amazing feat and very, very impressive from an engineering, an aesthetic, and a
Yeah.
historical standpoint. So, building the Eiffel Tower on YouTube is one of my picks for this week. How about you?
Um, there's something else that I was watching it. I guess I didn't make a note because I'm not sure where I've lost it. But we watched Kim and I watched the Reading Crashers again with Vince Vaughn
Mhm.
and Owen Wilson, and that's kind of fun movie. I liked their idea, obviously, of them just how easy it is to kind of slide into a wedding
Mhm.
because you think about it, unless you got somebody manning the door, you could kind of just walk on in, to any of them, and they always got food and alcohol
Yep,
and that kind of stuff.
and funerals.
Yeah, well, they did do that in the movie too. So, anyway, I like those guys. I like Vince Vaughn especially, and anyway, it's a fun movie. Yeah,
All right, second one I've got is also on YouTube called "The Only Reason the Voyager Probes Are Still Working Today."
there's only one reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
They weren't supposed to last this long either. I sense a
yeah.
theme going on tonight.
Now, do they have maintenance issues like the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, they did.
All right,
So
do
we
tell.
talked about one a few years ago when the directional finder was off a little bit, and they said,
Right.
we can't communicate because it's not aiming right." But they fixed that up. They put in redundant systems on a lot of these things, and in many cases right now, they are on the backups. So if those ever fail, then it's done.
Yeah.
They're expecting to get maybe another 6 or 7 years out of this before it's totally on its own, flying
We'll
dead
see
in the
20
water.
years from now. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So I started watching, which I'm very surprised I just now started watching. I think I
I
talked about
am
it.
too.
Yeah. Better Call Saul. I was such a fan of Breaking Bad. Um, it was ridiculous. So I'm surprised I'm just now getting around to Better Call Saul.
How far
So
into
I
it are
am.
you?
Was that?
How far into it are you?
I think I'm into season 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying it very much. I like that they give Mike so much backstory because he is an interesting
Oh,
character
yes.
in itself.
Isn't he really? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was even in Breaking Bad, but you didn't really know much about him. He
Right.
was just kind of there. You got a little bit tidbits, but this is fleshing him out, and also some other characters along with uh, Jimmy, Slipping Jimmy.
His brother
So
Chuck. Yeah,
his brother, yeah,
he's
Chuck.
Jimmy is interesting because he's a shyster, but he still cares about his brother. He means good, but he doesn't always execute well. The guy who plays Chuck also showed up in a show that Donna and I just finished season 1. I'll talk about it next time. It's called The Diplomat. He plays the president of the United States.
Oh, really?
Oh, this ain't good.
Yeah. Yeah. So Michael McKean, he was in uh um oh man, my mind went blank. He's in oh, come on. Dang, stop that.
That's where the
Um
show goes nowhere. Okay. So, that fact
oh man,
aside,
my mind went blank.
and it'll come up like just as we're signing off the show.
You
So,
know,
moving
when I
on.
lay down in the bed at night, I'll go, ah,
Moving right. I know it happens to all of us.
right.
Okay. Yes, Better Call Saul is a wonderful series. We enjoyed it very much. I started watching it. I think I got through season 2, and then it was done. I didn't have any more content, so came back years later, and Donna's watching it. Oh, hey, what are you doing? It's like, there's a season 3? Yeah. So we backed up and watched the whole thing front to back again.
Hmm.
So good stuff. The other one I watched was a new show on Netflix called The Greatest Night in Pop.
Yes.
And the trailer shows all these people getting together, Kim
Mhm.
Carnes, Huey Lewis, Billy Joel, on and on and on. And like, why are they getting together? It's the backstory of the We Are the World video
Yes. I
song.
did watch this. Yes.
This is great. I thought they just like came together. No, this was right after the 1985 American Music Awards,
Mhm.
which was hosted by Lionel Richie. So yeah, a great
Hey,
story about him
and
and Michael, and yeah,
and some of the people were actually drinking, or at least one guy was
that would be
drinking.
Al Jarreau.
Yeah, he was
He was
he was
celebrating a
drinking.
little early, and he couldn't get his line out. And
Yeah,
it's like 4 in the morning going, "Come on, dude," because they have to do this in batches. First, they have
yeah.
all the singers on the
You
riser
know,
singing the chorus, and then they have to get the little pieces and parts in place.
when I'm watching that, I was like, "Oh, great!" They're doing it right after the American Music Awards, as you mentioned, and
I thought
then
it would be you go in there and
I,
an hour later you're done. They were there all night. They were till 6 in the morning.
right. What I'm That's my point is that when they had to skip all the parties and stuff after
Yep.
the thing, even if they won and all that, I imagine that's something you would look forward to, and all of a sudden, because of this commitment, you're not. And so
Right, but what they did
I
is
think it's a
very
little bit of a sacrifice for those people, but at the same time, it was really cool to see the workflow that they had to all go through,
yeah,
and then when they had them all encircled and paired up, some of the pairings were really awesome. Like Daryl Hall and
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry. Oh my gosh, those two different voices, and
Yep.
they work so well
Or
together.
Tina Turner and Willie Nelson. That was
Yes.
one guy's job is to figure out how to arrange this whole thing vocally.
Hmm.
So and he
Yeah.
went and listened to all of their material going, "Okay, this has these qualities and that has those qualities, and here's what we're gonna do
Yeah.
there." I found it interesting how Bob Dylan struggled in this thing.
Yes, because he was not somebody that normally sang with a lot of their pop singers.
Yeah.
He was his own thing.
But kudos to Stevie Wonder because Stevie Wonder sits him down at the piano and he goes,
Yeah.
"Okay, we're gonna run through this thing," and he starts imitating Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
This is the way I would envision you singing it, and then
Yeah.
Bob latched onto that and did it. "There joins me, we're making
Yeah.
our own world."
I wouldn't say Bob Dylan is the most dynamic singer,
No,
so
he's got a style, and he
he
and
does have a
that's what
style.
they wanted these people to sing in their style and then
Mhm.
arrange all that. Yeah, fascinating story.
You
The
know,
Greatest Night in Pop on Netflix, highly
now
recommend.
now the one other aspect before we move on, the
Yeah.
one other aspect I really enjoyed about this, as somebody that was born at the tail end of the '60s, went through the '70s and then the '80s, at those ages, seeing those people that I saw all the time at that age again,
Mhm.
it was a lot of cool. It was really cool, and seeing them interacting with one another and in situations which I've never seen before, and go, wow, it's a lot of fun. And then again, they stayed there to what, 6, 7 in
Except
the
Waylon
morning.
Jennings, he walked out. I
Yeah,
think he left a little early.
I'm done. I'm sure you got it.
At one point, the artist started to embellish, and the song was the song, and they said, "This is what we're gonna sing." And then Stevie Wonder goes, "I think we need some Swahili in here." And Waylon
Uh,
goes, "No cowboy ever sang
that
Swahili.
was
I'm even."
Yeah, that was not too far in. It was like an hour or two in, and
Yeah,
then see they're changing the song.
yeah.
And it's like, you can't do that. They would be there for days if they
Right.
let that
They had
go.
one chance to get this all right.
No.
It was a lot of stress and strain. Poor Quincy Jones was like, "All right, everybody, buck up."
Yeah.
But at
Oh,
times, the levity came through to break the tension too.
mhm. And I'll give, Michael Jackson a little bit more credit because listening to him and the way they talked about him working through the song
Yep.
on when he was working on his own, uh, I understand I know he's talented. I always liked him, but I had a little more of a deeper appreciation for him, because of, the way they were talking about his process, and to me, it made a little more sense. I'm like, that guy was more talented than I probably give him credit for, which I still thought he was talented to
Yeah, he
begin
was
with.
extremely talented. I thought there was interesting stuff, like, they had the original audio engineer who was there
Mhm.
live,
Oh,
talking to
yeah,
us
yeah,
today. One of the photographers or there's a videographers to do all this stuff, he was there.
and he was talking about how people were in the way or
Yeah,
yeah.
or the poor audio engineer, they start rehearsing, and all the musicians are tapping their feet on these wooden plywood
Yeah.
risers, and you hear this thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. He says, "What? No, no, everybody stop doing that. Tap with your knees or something."
Yeah,
I swear 5 minutes later, they're all going tap, tap, tap
yeah,
with their foot like you okay.
so it
I would
was a nightmare, but it came together, and actually,
yeah.
again, I had a better appreciation for the whole project
Yes.
after watching this, to be honest with you.
You ought to attend some of our keynote rehearsals.
I'm sure. I know it's probably the very similar.
Oh, very similar.
Yeah, I'm
Very
just saying,
similar.
something like this, you thought they all walked in on a Saturday afternoon and knocked it out. But
No.
after watching this, you go, Oh, there was more work to this, but
Before, during, and after. Yeah.
I really felt for the editors and the sound booth guys and all those other people too, because their work wasn't over at 8 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
And it's not like you just pull it up on Audacity and put it together.
No,
This
roll
was
the
all
tape.
like,
Yeah,
roll the tape. Everything's on different tracks. It was impressive.
Yeah,
Technologically as well.
if you lived in that era, go watch that. Do yourself a
Yeah.
favor. You will enjoy it.
Yep. Alrighty. Even if you didn't live in that area, it influenced a lot of other things like Live Aid, uh, Farm Aid, just a lot
Or
of
vice
charity.
versa. I think one of those came before the other.
No, the thing that triggered it was when Bob Geldof did "Do They Know It's Christmas?" That was the first one, and then the Harry Belafonte said, "Hey, we should do something like that too." That was white folks singing about white folks. We want to do black folks singing about black folks because there's people dying in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And it was Harry reaching out to Quincy, who got Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, and then from there it just grew.
Mhm.
Okay, great story. We've dwelt on that long enough. We are running down to the end of the show. So our question of the week for you at the very end is: if humans discovered a way to teleport anywhere on Earth instantaneously, how would this change daily life and global society? Well, truly working from anywhere would become possible because you could live anywhere and then work anywhere.
Oh, I got 2 minutes to get to work.
Yep.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Airlines would go out of business.
Well, it'd be like the COVID era with all the lockdowns. The traffic would be awesome. You
You'd
could,
have to have like one of these in everybody's living room, and then there'd have to be traffic controllers to that. You wouldn't just want Craig to pop in. There's a protocol to phones.
yeah. Well, you know what? I thought about that too, and my first thought was, okay, the inside the home would almost have to be a no transport zone. You could transport in front of somebody's door or in the proximity, but not.
Directly into, or if you did indirectly go directly to the home, you'd have to have some sort of way of.
It's a closet where I keep
Well,
my
not just a
transporter.
closet, but you wouldn't be able to receive anybody until you
Oh.
acknowledged them first.
Well, aside from transporter logs that make murder a lot easier.
The transporter display says potential spam.
Hey, on the next
Rejected.
on the next Netflix documentary about some famous murder, we checked the transporter logs, and yeah, he popped in at about 2 in the morning.
Yep. It's okay. I wasn't really there. You can check my blockchain.
Yeah. The occupants were asleep, so they didn't get the weapons warning when the transporter worked.
Oh, Steve's out there watching now. Steve says suspended animation. That's where I'll put them. There are people. What did Jared say? There are people who will still not trust the system, calling it a suicide box.
Yeah.
That was from
Oh, no.
Futurama.
Hey, but what about if no, they refer to a suicide transport as a suicide box because you're getting destroyed and you're getting created somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, imagine you cut yourself really bad, or you're having a stroke. Your family just has to throw you in the transport and get you to the hospital. I don't know.
That wasn't the transporter. That was the microwave oven.
He's having a heart attack. Stand him up. Let's put him in the transporter.
That's not how it works. All right. That takes us to the end of the show. We're going to
All right.
give the old sign off here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live or listening to us later. However you consume the show, we greatly appreciate it. You can reach us on the listener line if we said something incorrect. That's usually why you call. 707-530-2428. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, we will be out the next couple of weeks because we're taking a vacation.
Yeah.
We're going
We
to have
have
fun
to.
on that. You can also email us, technorama@chuckchat.com. Some of you are joining us on that vacation. Hope we get spotted in the wild again. That would be fun.
Wait till we do our own cruise, the Technorama cruise.
Technorama cruise?
Yeah.
You got a boat for that yet? Anyway,
It's about this
let's
big.
get on with it. Until next time, tell a friend about Technorama. And Craig, give him a binary high five.
101.
Woohoo! Maybe that's what that sound at the end is. Right here. Listen. Woohoo!
Yay! I do have a boat.
Oh man, you got to stay quiet. And he takes his headphone off. He can't say that. Can I get another half word? You'll find it later.
See, I do have a boat.
A Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah. Yeah. From when a 3D printer.
It's one of the first things everybody prints on a 3D printer.
That's right.
It's like it's on the SD card or something. It's the sample data.
Yeah, it's still on the card. Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you everybody for watching us. We're going to sign out. We're going to do our Patreon show. And then, well, Craig's already on vacation. We've got Monday off.
Yeah.
Not working Tuesday. And then I am out of here. So looking forward to it. We'll see you later. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.